appealing, even though it looks like the housing market is slowing. Tell me, Glenn, in 6 months, is the market going to be better or worse?
Probably the same. Rates
Why?
are probably going to 6%. Inventory is increasing. Sales volume will be somewhat fine, but prices are going to soften.
In this video, I'm going to discuss where you can find a property for a good deal and where you should stay away from if you don't want to overpay. I've got a lot to discuss and it's all coming up. Stay tuned. Hi, this is Warren Oberholser. My last two videos struck a note with my viewers. I received approximately 5 to 6 calls over the Memorial Day weekend inquiring about the condition of the residential housing market. The main question asked was, is the market stable and is it best to wait before purchasing? They also wanted to know, with more inventory starting to grow, where are the best areas or cities to find a good deal without risking overpaying? By the way, I do appreciate and welcome all calls. If I don't answer, please leave a voice message. I'll usually be able to get back to you by the end of the day. To help me out, in addition to your phone calls, please post your questions in the comments section on my videos. This really helps my YouTube algorithm, and of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. In this video, I'm going to discuss what area or cities you should consider looking to find a good deal. And more important to price, how to negotiate with the seller so you can hopefully get the best deal possible. I'll also go over what cities or areas are still experiencing a strong seller's market. These areas are great to live in, but unfortunately, buyers don't have much leverage power. For this reason, you may want to avoid them if you're looking to get a deal, and especially if you don't want to risk overpaying. Now, make sure you stay to the end. I will share with you something that's been around forever but hasn't been used lately that can be a game changer for both the buyer and the seller. All right, let's get started. I want to discuss, where is this crazy real estate market now? In Redfin's latest article, they stated, price drops are becoming increasingly common, particularly in relatively affordable places that have seen home values surge as people moved in from expensive coastal areas. They continue with, in Boise, Idaho, where home prices are up 62% in the past 2 years, 41% of home sellers dropped their price in April. This is the largest share among 180 metropolitan areas. Many areas like Boise or Sacramento that saw a surge in migration and a sharp increase in home prices over the past 2 years have now seen an abrupt drop-off in demand, leading sellers to drop their prices with increasing frequency. When mortgage rates were at or below 3%, both local and out-of-town home buyers were more willing and able to tolerate high prices. But at 5%, many are now priced out. This is where the housing market is at across the United States. However, as we know, real estate is hyper-local. For example, I'm in Northern California, San Francisco region, and more specifically in the East Bay Tri-Valley area. This area is made up of 6 cities that feed the tech companies like Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, Apple, etc. As I understand, at this time, the tech companies are still going strong. So housing in the Tri-Valley area is also pretty strong. It's not the crazy seller's market we had a couple of months ago. Yes, as I pointed out in my previous video, we are seeing some properties stay on the market longer and some have price drops. But most of this is due to pricing and the condition of the property. Even with the rapid rise in interest rates, inventory is still low. And again, if a property is in good order and is priced correctly, it can receive multiple offers coming in over the asking price. Please understand, I love the Tri-Valley area. My wife and I have been homeowners here for decades, and I love to sell properties in the Tri-Valley area. But at this time, the market is too strong to get the kind of deal I'm going to talk about. When CNBC asked Redfin CEO Glenn Kelman what areas are experiencing a softening in the housing market,
well, it's the secondary markets that have been hit the hardest. So if you look at Tacoma, Washington, or Sacramento, California, refugees who leave the Bay Area or the Seattle area looking for value have been going to those markets and just sent prices through the roof. And now those prices are taking a step back. We're also seeing affordable second home markets like the area in Sarasota, Florida, really taking a step back on prices. So that's where the price reductions are most common.
As Glenn just went over, the secondary markets have been hit the hardest with price reduction. They also have more inventory. Secondary markets like the greater Sacramento area, you will see between 40 and 50% of active listings are 30 days and more on the market. About 1/3 have been on the market over 60 days. Areas like this where appreciation has gone up fast over the last 2 years, and where properties are sitting on the market for 30 days or more, this is where you can find a deal. Before I go over the steps, I want to be clear, your offer will have all the contingencies in place. In other words, you're not going to release them up front when you submit your offer. This would include the investigation, and if you're financing, this will be the loan and the appraisal. Also, if you're financing, don't be concerned about putting offers in with 20% down. Feel free to use any type of financial arrangements that you know will work, including federally backed loans such as FHA and VA. Here are the steps to take. Number 1, locate an area or areas you'd consider living in, and that has properties sitting on the market for at least 30 days or more. To help your odds, I would locate as many cities as you can. Number 2, have your buyer's agent reach out to the listing agent to inquire, what does a seller want? Okay, what does this mean? In this market, many sellers need rent back. If they do, find out how much. We are not offering free rent back. This is something the seller will pay for. All sellers want maximum seller proceeds. Seller proceeds is how much the seller will take away when their property finally closes. If the listing agent will elaborate, many times they'll tell the buyer agent the seller needs X amount of dollars when they close. This may be what's needed in order for them to purchase a new home. It doesn't mean you'll agree to it. Rather, it's a way to understand the seller's expectations and what is the likelihood your offer will get accepted. All right, let's discuss rent back. This is pretty straightforward. Make sure whatever they need, it's something you can allow. In other words, if it's 2 weeks, a month, fine. But if it's something like 6 months, that's probably not going to fly. It's best to find these details out before you get into negotiating. Once you know these two numbers, as far as if they need rent back and of course what the seller wants, if you're close enough, send over an offer and see what the seller will consider. If a seller doesn't accept your offer, hopefully they will send you a counter. This way you'll see how close you are and maybe it's something you can accept. If not, counter back. You've got nothing to lose. If you cannot come to terms, have your buyer's agent stay in touch with the listing agent in the event something should change. So if this first property you're negotiating on doesn't work, go to the next property and repeat the same steps. Here's the item that hasn't been used in a long time and I think is going to be coming back. If the buyer and seller cannot come to a meeting of the minds on price and terms, then it's time to change it up. All right. I'll explain what this means. To do this, I'm going to go over a few examples. Consider raising your purchase price in return for the seller giving you a credit for your closing costs, which include a point fee on your loan so you can get a lower mortgage interest rate. This will reduce your out-of-pocket expenses and lowers your monthly mortgage payment. Now, in order to be safe, as I said in the beginning, I recommend with all these offers, you're going to keep all contingencies in place, including the appraisal and the loan. This way, if it doesn't appraise, then that's off the table. If repairs or improvements are needed, there is an FHA 203K loan that will credit the buyer money to cover repairs after the close. I remember doing this for a buyer who was an investor. It was a property in Tracy, California, where we were buying a lot of short sales and bank-owned properties. This particular property was a short sale. We were just about 2 weeks out from closing, and a pipe upstairs broke and flooded everything downstairs. Property was vacant, so we had water in there for like, I don't know, 2-3 days. So it was a mess, to say the least. Once they assessed what the damage was, and basically it was to remove all sheetrock where the water touched, get rid of the carpet, flooring, then they could put the rest back together and the property was considered whole. So in order to do this, they used this type of loan. And as I recall, the additional funds were held in escrow. So after we closed, the contractors to do the work, after they were finished, they'd submit that to the escrow officer or escrow office to get paid, title company to get reimbursed. So the buyer themselves, who was the owner now, never exchanged the money. It just actually went to the person doing the repairs. And this way it gives the bank assurance that the buyer is not going to go buy a new car with this money. It's going to go into their property. In this market, in order to get your offer accepted with favorable terms, consistency and creativity will make a big difference. Let me know if you agree with the ideas I just went over, and if you have any more to add, please post that below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Again, post your questions and comments down below. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, consider doing so you don't miss anything. If you found this video interesting, you may want to watch these other two that are starting to pop up just about now, because I'll go into more detail on what I just talked about. So stay tuned. I have more helpful videos like this coming soon. Please reach out to me for any of your real estate questions or needs, and I wish you all the best on your home journey.